Hello, friends. Today's your chance to learn a little bit about us here at 10TV. And sitting with me right now is the wonderful Jerry Revish.
Hey.
So glad to have you here, Jerry. And I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but you and I are cubby mates too.
That's
so
right, we are. We
back.
share desk space, and when I'm gone, you've got the whole run of the room.
I take over Jerry's desk and then I bring it all back in when you come in at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, that's cool.
So many people I hear all the time when I go out in the field, they just always say they just love you, Jerry. I mean, you have been in this market for
38 years.
38, almost 4 decades.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I think it's a great job, probably the best job in television. It's just been a wonderful, wonderful ride. Had the opportunity to travel the world and meet interesting people here and abroad. We make a difference every day in what we do, so you know, it's the best job I've ever had.
I know I got into journalism because I felt like I wanted to change the world, do something better. Mm-hmm. What about you?
That too. I like writing, so that sort of drew me to journalism, being able to tell stories. And being able to go out and find stories, that still turns me on even today. You just never know when you get out in a news car and out on the street and talk to people and get into a scene, a situation, what's going to come of that. But also being able to make change for people, you know, comfort the afflicted, afflict the comfortable. There are folks out there that have a lot of big problems going on in their lives, and they rely on news media to get educated and informed, but also to help them out. Yeah. They think we're lawyers, they think we're sociologists, sometimes they think we're rabbis, but we're just trying to make a difference for them.
Well, speaking of the religious division here, a lot of people may not know, you are a pastor.
Yeah.
So we should also call you Father Revish.
Jerry's good.
Okay.
Jerry's good. Yeah, I've been an ordained elder in the Church of God in Christ for probably 30 years. And just a couple of years ago, my wife Danielle and I decided to launch into the deep and pastor. So we created Unity Temple, Church of God in Christ. It's in the south end of Columbus on Reeb Avenue. And it's been a couple years old now, and it's growing, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of commitments, and I find it quite compatible with what I do.
Sure.
In a way, it's the ultimate community service.
So in 38 years, I know this is impossible, but could you pick 1 or 2 stories that just stick out in your mind that you can't forget?
Yeah, one that I carry around with me all the time is the story of Walter Smith. He was a Columbus bodybuilder who was wrongfully convicted of rape. I remember getting some letters from Walter. This is probably in the early 80s. Long handwritten letters while he was in Lebanon Correctional, telling me, I'm an innocent man. I shouldn't be here. I didn't do this. There was something about his story that rang true to me. So we drove down to Lebanon Correctional, had an opportunity to talk to him, and the things he was telling me made sense. And they were so opposite of what happened in the courtroom. It took us probably 5 years of continual conversations and talking to different people until we finally got the Franklin County prosecutor, Mike Miller at that time, to agree to let his grandma pay for his DNA testing. And this was early on in DNA testing. He was probably one of the first people in Ohio to get DNA testing. The results came back 2 months later and showed that he was not the man that raped these women. There are some people who are locked away who are totally innocent. Yeah. And I think one of the greatest things we can do continually as a business is to make sure we look at those cases when they come to us.
Could you ever see yourself doing anything else but being a newscaster?
No, you know, really, I have other things that I like to do. You know, I like to garden. I like to mess around with stuff in the house. I like to drive cars fast sometimes. And just play around that way, and I enjoy my kids and all of that carrying on. But as far as a business, something to make a living with, I've got the ultimate job.
I could see Jerry Revish as a jazz singer. I understand you love jazz.
I do. I love jazz. I love gospel music. Some classical, too. Well, my first job in the business was in radio. Really? In Youngstown, Ohio, WBBW. My first job was spinning records. Back then it was records, you know, vinyl? It was spinning records for a big band impresario at the station, and all I did was cue up his records and play them for him. But it was my first job in the business. And people, when they get into this business, a lot of times they think they're going to start making a whole lot of money and all of this stuff. You know, you got to start small. Because you usually come to the business without much experience.
Right.
And nobody that's in a major market is going to give you that shot, usually. It happens every now and then, folks squeak through, but you got to pay your dues. So my thought is, don't worry about where you start, it's where you end. It's important.